This is Do It for a Living, your source for inside information on the future of automotive performance.
You're a media company first, and then whatever you do is second to being a media company. And the reason he always says that is because nobody knows who you are, what you're doing, unless you're showing it to them. And the only way to show it to them is to put it out there with, pictures, video, content, social media stuff. Luckily, in today's day and age, we're in control of all that.
What's holding you back from starting or growing your business into what it can be? Well, if you're listening to this, it's not a lack of information. What you're about to hear is all you need to get motivated and start making waves. Do It for a Living podcast details the journey of today's true players in their own words. Find out how they broke out so you can too. The time is now. The time is always now.
Welcome back to another episode of Do It for a Living. I'm Todd Ersley, and today we're talking with Jeremy and Ben from Fathouse Fabrication. They have one more owner, John Lucas, in the company, but we just couldn't logistically have three guests on trying to do all the recording. So they battled it out, and then Jeremy and Ben won the honor here. So, guys, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
Excellent.
Yeah, doing great, Todd.
Really appreciate you guys taking some time. I know it's getting to be the SEMA crunch time, so just like last year, we had a lot of difficulty getting people to commit to a time with SEMA being right around the corner, and then followed a month later by PRI. So it's I really again appreciate you guys taking some time, but really want to hear the story about how you guys got started. Did you have a love for cars for a long time, and then how did you meet to make kind of a trio to start a business?
I grew up loving cars and being a gearhead my whole life. Like as a kid, I was a kid that took everything apart and never really figured out how to put it back together until recently. But me and Johnny went to high school together, and I was a V8 kid. Like the people in my family were drag racers, and I was V8s and carburetors through and through. And John grew up working on cars the same, and his family, I think his brother had a turbo Dodge, like a little Dodge Omni GLH. So he had a Dodge Omni GLH, and he took me for a ride in it one day, like after football practice, and I was hooked. I drove the little car, and little turbo four-cylinder car, and I stood on it, and torque steers all over the road. Like that was all it took.
Now, I've never even heard of one of those. What is it, like a little two-door car? Is it based on something else that's not a Dodge?
It's like a 1985 Dodge Omni. It's a little four-door hatchback, but they were the GLH models were turbocharged, and they made 150 horsepower, something like that back then. And actually, that's kind of what we grew up working on, because back then you just kind of learn stuff as you go, put bleeds on it here and boost controllers, and taking engines out of Daytonas to put into the Omnis to go fast. We actually got that car to run 1270s, like 108 mile an hour before we were out of high school. Pretty fast back then. Yeah.
And what year were you guys in high school?
That would have been 98.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I grew up in a small town. These guys are from the Indianapolis area, and I grew up in a small town called North Vernon, Indiana, in southern Indiana. And we have, everything kind of hits us a little bit later in life. But right as when I was getting out of high school, I had a chance to ride in a friend car. A friend of mine named Terry had a front-wheel drive DSM, the GST Eclipse, and that was my first experience riding in a turbo car. And same as Jeremy, like the first time I rode in one, it felt, how the turbo power comes on. I was instantly hooked as well, and knew I had to get one. So that was my first car, was a all-wheel drive Eagle Talon.
So starting with the DSMs, huh?
Yeah.
So Ben, then when did you get introduced or meet Jeremy and John then?
So I didn't meet Jeremy until it was probably early 2000s, maybe like 2002, 2004. I don't remember the exact year, but I had was on to my second or third.
2004 range.
Yeah, right in there. I was on my second or third DSM. I drove up to Greenwood, which is just south of Indianapolis, to cruise one night in my second gen Eclipse, and pulled over at a popular gas station where a lot of the bike guys hung out, and everybody kind of met up before they go cruising. And pulled in to get gas, and was just kind of getting out to talk to some people. And I knew who Jeremy was. That his nickname was Fat House.
It's been my nickname since basically out of high school. Like once I got into college, I was always a big guy. So Fat House kind of stuck. And then as I started working on cars and stuff out of the garage, I needed to put a name to it. Fathouse Fabrication just kind of rolled off my tongue. And it's stuck around since then.
It just stuck around. Yeah. Now, I mean, I see you guys have kind of shortened it to Fathouse Fab, but it's, just to make it a little easier to cut out on a nameplate or something. But yeah, that's so you're a pretty big guy then, huh?
Well, I used to be. Like, I've lost about 150 pounds. So now everybody calls us Fathouse Fab.
That's
what all the locals call us, Fathouse Fab.
That's great. Yeah, I was going to say Skinny House Fab, but Fathouse Fab is better.
I get called that as well, yeah.
So I knew who he was, but I never met him before, just from online forums and things like that back in the day. And I saw who I thought was Fathouse at the time walking across the parking lot towards me, and he came up and we started chatting a little bit. And we have a joke going back because I had some really sweet Altezza taillights in my Eclipse, and he came over to admire them, and we've been friends ever since.
I came over to make fun of him for having taillights on the car. And he followed me around ever since, basically.
And so did, so you graduated high school or finished high school, and then did you guys go to college?
I went to college for airplane mechanic. So I was at A&P for a while.
Okay, so you went to A&P school?
Yeah, I went to A&P school, got out, worked as an A&P for a few years until 9/11 happened, and then nobody really works on airplanes. Mm-hmm. Nobody did at that time anymore or whatever. So then I got out and started working a normal job like heavy industrial equipment, forklifts, boom lifts, stuff like that.
And so just kept kind of cars as a hobby throughout that process?
Yeah, basically. Well, like once I got old enough, I bought a house, got a garage. Actually, at the time, because I had already kind of went through my 1G, had a 1G and put a big turbo on it, a 20G and a 35R and stuff like that. And at one point in time, I ended up buying a welder. I was always like trade school and high school and always kind of wanted to work with my hands and enjoyed welding and fabricating. So I bought my first TIG welder and then taught myself how to weld like in an apartment complex. And I made like a jumper harness to plug it into the dryer. So I'd sit on a bar stool.
So the 220 dryer?
Yeah, 220 dryer plug. I'd sit on a bar stool and put a piece of metal down and just sit there and weld all night long, trying to figure out how to do it. Because back then, you just didn't have the information available like we do now or whatever. So by the time I bought my first house, had a garage behind it, and then just kind of started working on people's cars and making little projects for people. And then eventually when the Evos came out, I bought an Evo. And next thing you know, I had Evos everywhere because I was working on everybody's Evo and building parts for them and tuning cars out of my garage and so forth. And it just kind of evolved to where we're at.
So Ben, did you transform from the DSM to the Evo crowd as well?
Sort of. I had an Evo at the same time I had a DSM, but around the same time Jeremy was talking about buying a house and starting to work on cars, I still had that second generation Eclipse. And we actually, the first turbo manifold for that car. So we put like an SC61 precision turbo on the car, and that was the first manifold that he ever built. And we actually still have it and like have it hanging on the wall in the back room.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
We're kind of amazed that, Jeremy looks at it and then cringes of how bad it looks, but I got the job done, never fell apart. That car ran high nines at 148 mile an hour in the quarter. And before I got tired of breaking transfer cases and finally parted it out. I had an Evo, like a bolt-on Evo, but I never really got heavy into Evos like Jeremy did. He got his Evo and did a engine turbo kit, and he had a dog box train. You had a dog box in that too, didn't you, Jeremy?
Yeah, a dog box in it, and quite a bit of stuff with mid 9s, 970s or something. Mm-hmm. Never really got a good clean pass. And about the time I was getting serious with the Evo is when we were starting the business. With like actually a real business. So it was hard to work on the car and try to work on the business. So like the Evo just kind of got pushed to the corner and eventually got sold.
So were you guys just kind of like hanging out one night talking about it to make the business, or walk me through kind of the transition from working in your garage at nights and having an industrial job to like really making it a go for it?
I mean, really, we talked about it for years. We got to do something. Like it's always been a dream, to run a performance shop. So I got to the point where there was so much work out of my garage that something had to give. I had too much work, side work, and then the real job was getting in the way of my side work. And as we talked about it, and John also did industrial work as well. We kind of both worked in the same field. So like we had some industrial contacts out there, people we knew, and kind of landed a industrial welding job. I knew somebody needed some industrial welding done. We kind of bid the job and got it. And I was like, well, here we go. The first paycheck before we opened the doors and jumped in feet first.
I mean, sounds like you left your job to just do welding, and then that kind of transitioned into the car stuff for professional.
The car stuff was the goal. It was just the first industrial job was like a real paycheck.
Yeah.
A paycheck big enough to, all right, I quit. Let's do it.
Okay, gotcha. So, yeah. That was the catalyst that really got it going.
Yeah, we did the industrial work and we still do industrial welding. But the car stuff is what we're known for.
So what kind of planning or activities did you do to kind of get the business going? Did you go out and just find a building and rent it out and just push all the cars over there?
Actually, the first shop was behind John's house.
Okay.
His parents had a sewing machine shop back in the day. When we were in high school, his parents ran like a sewing machine business out of there. And it was a small little 2,000 square foot, like L-shaped building. And we basically just gutted it, knocked a hole in a wall, put a garage door in it, like dug a pit so we could pour concrete, put a lift in it. And we turned it into an automotive shop. And we worked out of that place for a year and a half or so, I believe. Is that right, Ben?
Yeah, about a year and a half.
And just amazed at some of the work we were able to do out of that little bitty building. And then that catalyzed into the building that we're in currently.
Gotcha. And Ben, how about you? Did you get any formal education, or did you just kind of go into this feet first?
Yeah. So I went to college for business. Going back to my grandpa and maybe even further back than I know, my family's always been business owners. So my grandpa had a chain of clothing stores. My father worked for him and then started his own business in manufacturing. And then I worked for my father for 17 years. Started sweeping the floors as a kid and worked my way all the way up to working side by side with him running the company, learning the jobs all along the way. And then I went to college for business while I was working for him, also while I was modifying cars and working on cars. So I was going, working full time and going to school at night, and kind of just decided, I'm getting my education every day at work, not at school, and just kind of, quit going to school basically. And, worked full time for my dad and went through that process, making money to work on cars, and then met Jeremy. And then we start talking about, and as the stuff I've learned through my father's business about how to run a business and everything along there just kind of carried over into, I can do this part of the business. You can do the welding, fabrication, we could partner up together. John's really good technician, worked for Ganassi Racing for a while and done a lot of that stuff. So we kind of all three worked out as a good team. We all brought something new into what we were going to make the company. So that's kind of how we, led into starting the shop and like what each of our roles would be.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear that, getting the business background is something that most shops don't have. And so with your situation, it was pretty much just different friends that had different skill sets all bringing something to the table. So I'm guessing, Jeremy, you're still the main fabricator?
Yes.
And then does John do most or all the installs, and then Ben's running the business, huh?
But John, we have another tech. We have another tech as well. So John runs the service department. I run the fabrication department, and Ben runs the business.
Very cool. Very cool. And so what year did you guys formally start the business? Do you remember when you incorporated?
Yeah. So we started in May of 2012. That's when we incorporated.
Okay. But you'd been working on cars since I'm guessing 03-ish or even before that. So it was quite a while.
Yeah, basically. I bought my first 1G in 2000, and it was hammered down since then. Taking it apart, trying to make them fast, and making all the local cars fast, really. Yeah,
getting everybody to go faster. So did you guys really see yourself? It sounds like, Ben, you were kind of on a path to running your own business, but Jeremy, how about yourself? And maybe you can speak for John as well. Did you guys ever envision yourself, owning your own shop, or did it really just kind of, you just worked and then it just kind of happened?
I never really pictured myself being a part of a shop as big as we are with the future I think we have ahead of us. I I was at the point with my regular job that I was going to quit my job and start my own thing anyway. But we definitely wouldn't have grown it like it is without Ben. Not Ben running the business part of it, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, that stuff, usually a lot of it just gets learned by doing it wrong the first time or the first 7 times and then figuring it out. So, and where are you guys located?
We're in Martinsville, Indiana, just south of Indianapolis.
Okay. And you said, Ben, that was where, is that where all you guys went to high school, or that's where you all kind of met and stayed together?
Yeah, it's kind of in the area.
Okay. So just kind of curious, like when you decided to get a bigger space and get into the shop you're in now, I mean, I have visited it, and it's like a house with a shop next to it, and the house has really kind of been converted to a business. You know, how did you guys find that place, and were you really thinking about, you know, what location you wanted to be in for a long period of time?
Yeah, I mean, we finding this place, we kind of bit off more than we could chew at first. We were, like Jeremy said, going from a small 2,000 square foot shop, trying to get something bigger. We looked around a lot of different places, couldn't find something that was the right fit. The realtor found this place for us, and it was kind of a fixer-upper. Nobody had been here for about 4 or 5 years, but we came by here and looked at it, and this place has a total of 3 buildings and 16,000 square feet, with a 1,300 square foot house attached, included in that 16,000 square feet. And Jeremy actually lives here, so we're able to, you know, kind of have some on-site security.
So he can never leave, huh?
Right. He's just I'm slave to the business.
So that sounds like it was kind of like a golden opportunity of location. You know, you've got a living space, you've got lots of room to grow, because it's on, I mean, you're probably not quite at the point of having to need another building, but I mean, it's a fenced in area that you could build more, couldn't you?
Oh, yeah. Well, we have the back building is kind of not the nicest, so we could tear that down and build a much larger building out of it.
If needed.
Yeah, if needed. But actually a little funny because we all me and Johnny kind of grew up in this area, but this building, they used to build like horse carriages. The original building was here from like the 50s. It evolved to a few different businesses, but they built small little horse carriages, and they got like a little welding area and like paint booths and stuff in the back. But a bunch of our buddies in high school worked here. In high school, like this was their job, building horse buggy carriages. So, a little history with it.
Yeah, so there's a little background to that building. So, you know, kind of shifting gears, I want to hear, you know, we've talked a little bit about the business, but what was something like that you guys struggled with, you know, right maybe when you were beginning or as it kind of grew and you became a real business, you know, that made you doubt yourself and think like, oh my gosh, like, what if this isn't going to work? Like, what are we going to do?
Yeah, as you're starting, it's really hard just to try to figure out where the money's going to come from. You know, you got to get jobs in and trying to make that leap from going from a well-paying job that you get a check every week to we're going to have to go out and find the jobs, find the work to pay ourselves money and pay our bills and grow is definitely a hard decision to make, especially when you have 3 people trying to do it instead of just one. So we kind of did it in stages. You know, Jeremy, like he said, he quit his job and went full time as soon as we got that big industrial job. And then, I slowly tapered down working with my father, which was one of the hardest things I ever had to do was tell my dad that I was going to quit working with him.
Okay, yeah. Did he kind of envision you to take over the job or take over the business?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that was my plan. Uh-huh. You know, I just kind of got stuck in. I'm sure a lot of people went through this, but you get stuck in a job where it's really not that hard to do. You're kind of going through the motions, and your mind's wandering about all the other ideas, and you're working on cars, and this is fun, and I want to turn this into a business, and just kind of progress from there.
What is his family business? What do they make or do?
So they make pool safety devices to help prevent children from drowning in swimming pools.
Okay. So not quite as exciting as car stuff, but probably more useful to society.
Right. More of a mainstream business for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So there was a lot of allure in the car stuff of like doing your own thing, but I would assume him being a businessman that he was probably, you know, while he may not have liked it, have been enthusiastic that you wanted to make your own business, you know, team up with your friends and make something.
Yeah, and I think, you know, he went through the same process with his father, you know, going out on his own and starting his own thing. So I think he could respect that. And he's been really instrumental in helping us grow along the way and giving advice and you know, being there when I had questions and things like that. So he's definitely a big reason why we've been able to do this.
Very cool. So what about like something really bad that's happened? Has there been like a bad customer or a bad experience or like a bad contract or something that you guys have come across in the business?
We actually, like, as far as like the worst experience we've ever had, we just found this new building, you know, biting off a big chunk, 16,000 square feet, a lot more money out every month, looking for more jobs. You know, we're excited about it, but it's also really scary. We're had just moved in here, and we were headed to the DSM shootout. And we'd been in here, you know, 6 months or something like that, and headed to the DSM shootout, and we get a phone call from the hotel that we're going to that our like debit card didn't go through. And we're like, well, that's strange. You know, we've got plenty of money in there. We should be fine, you know? So we start making some phone calls, and it turns out that we had someone do a chargeback on our account for some parts that they had ordered a few months ago. And they just take that money. If they do a chargeback, they instantly take those funds out of your account.
Yep.
So, you know, no warning. I get it. I think I did have an email, but I hadn't even seen it yet. So they took out, it was a little bit over $10,000 worth of a chargeback.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
All at once. You know, we've been in business for 2 years total. $10,000 might as well just shot us in the head.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're just freaking out. We're out of town. We have no resources, nothing we can do about it. Trying to figure out what's going on. We get through the race. We sell everything in the booth but our tent, trying to make as much money as possible. So we could get home, you know. And we get back, and we fought that for, I bet, 6 months. I probably had 40, 50 hours of phone calls and sending letters and trying to fight that. And this was a charge out of Canada. Lesson learned on this. I learned a lot of lessons on this about, you know, getting proper authorizations and everything else. But I went as far as called the credit card owner's bank, gave them the credit card number, and said, hey, look, I'm kind of worried about this transaction. It's a lot of money. It's going out of the country. Can you please verify it? And they verified it on the phone, that it was okay. Everything was good. And then we got the charge back. So I called them back again to, you know, say, hey, like, you guys verified this on the phone. And I even got someone to admit to me that they had it on recording.
Oh, wow.
That they had verified it. And then I asked for a transcript of it, and then they wouldn't give it to me. And then someone must have talked to somebody higher up there that said, no, you can't, don't give them that. Because then it was all gone. Like, nobody would talk to me on the phone. I contacted some attorneys about taking on the case, and nobody would touch it since it was out of the country. So we never got it back. We lost the money.
Wow.
Lucky for us, we had some really good customers at the time that really stepped up. You know, we called in a few of our build invoices early, cars that we hadn't finished yet. That's some really good customers that understood the situation, that we knew, trusted us to finish their car, just like we would have if they didn't pay their bill, but they came and paid their bill early and really bailed us out. So, you know, we have a really good customer base here that's helped us grow along the way, as well as save us when we needed it.
Man, that's pretty amazing that you didn't get it back. What was the like final, or they just like, just because it was international, just logistically like impossible to get anything done?
Well, I mean, we fought it with QuickBooks. We went through QuickBooks for the credit card processing at the time. And they, you know, there was all kinds of procedures and paperwork you had to fill out and information to send over. And of course, you know, I didn't have any signatures because it was a over the phone order. So I had just keyed it in. And then, to my fault, I didn't ship it to the billing address. The guy that was on the phone, he knew what he was doing. He had, you know, big old long story about having an uncle that ran a trucking company, and since it was going over to Canada, he wanted to pick the freight up, and he could get a good deal on it, and sent like all of the paperwork looked legit. Everything looked fine, and plus I'd already called the credit card company and they told me that it was okay. So I just was like, well, they said it was authorized. I guess I shouldn't worry about it. And then we actually had multiple other companies hit us up about that same trucking company and some fraud that they'd been hit with. They were trying to fight it themselves and trying to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. So apparently the guy had done it to multiple other companies. Who knows how much money he stole, but
you never got it back though. Jeez.
Yeah, no, never.
So to keep that from happening in the future, can you do just do a wire transfer, not a credit card, if it's ever going to be something like that? We do.
If the person is not here in person, I don't do anything with credit card. If it's under $1,000 and we're doing an order through the website or PayPal, that's okay. But anything over $1,000, I require to do a wire transfer.
Okay. So that's just a thing you do now after that. Yeah. So good lesson out there for large transactions, because fraud is still a huge, huge, huge problem. But like you said, you can't take a several $1,000 hit because it takes it out of your bank immediately. It's not like they tell you.
Yeah, there's no warning. Yeah, you're guilty until proven innocent in that situation.
Yep. Oh, bummer. Well, glad you were able to get through it and that didn't wreck you guys. So, thinking about it, it sounds like it got close though. Switching gears onto something more exciting. Tell us something that you guys are doing right now that's got you really fired up.
Well, right now we're focusing on building some new products, getting more into manufacturing, coming out with new products, manufacturing, trying to do something that we don't see, as far as fabricated parts go. There's a few companies out there, but not as many that really focus on, the quality welding, quality fabrication. That's what we're really trying to focus on, as well as we're doing a lot of package cars, twin turbo Mustangs. We've been doing a lot of the GT350s, turboing them, and those projects have been a lot of fun. So we're pretty excited about those too.
Yeah, and I know the welding quality is a big one. That's what pretty much as a manufacturing business, that's what you guys have to tout is, excellent weld quality. But you guys are making niche products. The one I just saw that you guys did was the fuse block for the Evo 8.9s for the small battery, or the battery relocation kit actually.
For the Evo 8.9.
Yeah, that's something using the Evo 10 little fuse block thing that they've got that is something that I have heard talked about for a long time, but nobody ever really made one, and so I like that little product that you guys made for that.
Yeah, nice little bracket to mount it in place and make everything look clean, like an OEM install. So that's what we strive for.
And you had mentioned to me that you guys are going to be at PRI this year. So can you tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing with that?
We're working on some cool displays for the booth. We're going to be in I believe it's the simulation room. There's a simulator there this year, racing simulator. Off in one of the side rooms in booth 9501. So this is our first. We go to PRI every year. It's in our backyard. So this is our first foray into having a booth.
Yeah, having a booth. Yeah,
talking to customers. Yep.
And so, what is the goal there? Are you looking to contract out more fabrication work, or are you just going to try to showcase your product to get more people buying it?
Yeah, we want to showcase our products. We're working on setting up more dealers. The products that we make, we can only sell to so many people. We've got there's tons of performance shops in every city that can sell the product. Our products could be in stores, across the country where people can sell them face to face, not just online.
Gotcha. Very cool. Well, let's take a quick break here, and then we'll be right back. We are hosting our next Essentials of Operating a Shop seminar during the SEMA show in Las Vegas on Wednesday, November 1st, 2017. We developed this one-day seminar to help shop owners rethink how they run their business. We cover topics like employee management, best practices for accounting, improving customer service, and many more. It doesn't matter whether you have been in business for 20 years or haven't even opened yet. You will get useful information and helpful business practices to improve the operations of your shop and be more profitable. You can find out more information about the seminar and sign up through our events tab on the Do It For a Living Facebook page or by visiting our website at doitforalivingpodcast.com. Okay, so we're back with Jeremy and Ben of Fathouse Fabrication, and so you guys talked about the space that you're in, kind of the house and shop space. Do you guys rent that or do you own it?
We own it.
You got the mortgage right when you guys started and said we're going to buy this, huh?
Yes. Yeah. We looked at doing some leases. We talked to some banks. And just the options were much better for us just to buy.
And how many people total do you guys have?
We have seven people total, including a video guy that we just hired.
Oh, very cool. So what are all the different roles that everybody does there?
So we've got 2 technicians, myself in the office and the video guy, and we have a full-time tuner. Corbin Johnson is our tuner. And then we have a part-time machinist and Jeremy. And
so Jeremy, are you just welding away all day, every day?
Basically, yeah. Welding or designing turbo kits and building custom parts.
Very cool. And so one of the things I wanted to kind of touch on was you guys having 3 owners, as I would call them, cooks in the kitchen. Like how do you guys kind of manage moving forward? Like, strategic planning or working on cars or what you're going to do next? Like, do you guys have like a plan that you guys sit down and put together, or how does that work there?
Yeah, we really don't have like a set plan, but we try to have daily meetings, like every morning, 10-15 minute quick meeting about what's going on in the shop, what's going on in the office side, what Jeremy's working on, fab jobs. Go over the plan for the day, the week, anything we need to discuss. Like we said earlier, John focuses on running the shop and the service work and making sure all of that stuff's flowing through well. And then Jeremy does all the fabrication, and I run the business side. So,
do you guys have like a set roles and responsibilities written out, or is it just kind of understood what each person's going to do?
It's just understood. We don't have anything written formally down.
Okay. Yeah, that's going to be one of the blog posts that we put together is actually writing a formal roles and responsibilities, to make it like with the intent of making it clear, like what everybody's got to do so that there's no like conflicts. And so it's good that you've got it all understood, but I think that a lot of places will struggle with that, that ordeal of having different people involved.
Yeah, I think that actually reminds me of a book. I think it was either Good to Great or one of those books that talked about writing out a description of each job. Mm-hmm. And even if it's not for that, just so you can sit down, like when you're hiring someone, and give them a description of the job, and they know exactly what they need to do.
Yeah, that was the blog post we actually just wrote this week. Was when you're ready to hire your first technician, what do you need to do? Well, you need to tell them what you're expecting. It's not just come in and work on cars. It's, when you're going to get here, what you're going to do, what's expected of you, like your dress code, like all that kind of stuff. So, it's good. Having that stuff just makes the, less conflict down in the future. So, what about, like the business? So how has it changed as you guys have grown? So, just gone from wrenching on cars and fabbing and tuning. So like, what's been kind of the path that you guys have taken doing that?
So we basically, you start out and the word no isn't even in your vocabulary. Basically, anybody that comes to the door that needs something done, you're just, bring it in, let's do it, trying to get as many jobs in as you can and make as much money as you can. So over the years, we've done the best we can to, kind of narrow our scope and decide what we want to work on, what we don't want to work on. And that seems to be just kind of an ongoing, process just to get that narrowed down and really focus on what we want to focus on.
Yeah, because it's, you don't see very many import tuner shops doing Raptors and Mustangs. So what kind of brought on that transition of going from Evos and STIs over to Ford stuff and anything else that you guys work on?
Well, we've kind of, the Mustang, the Coyote Mustang, when it came out, was probably the first Mustang that I was interested in. I got rid of my Evo DSMs and I bought 11 Mustang GT in 2012, right around when we started the shop. And we did a supercharger on that. We had goals of turbo in the car early on. which time just didn't allow that to happen. But as we, played with that car, drove it around, enjoyed it, and learned, when you have displacement and boost together, parts don't break, car makes good power, more enjoyable to drive. We broke a lot of parts racing, the Evos and the DSMs back in the day, and then we just got tired of it.
Yeah.
So, as the newer domestic stuff, they start to have stronger engines in them, better transmissions. They hold more power stock. They're a lot more fun to drive, modify, and turbocharged or supercharged. It really just kind of made it attractive to us, and it's a good market for the area we're in too.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I mean there are a lot more Mustangs and trucks than there ever will be imports. As much as we like to think they're everywhere, they're really not compared to the domestic stuff.
Right.
I love the turbo 4-banger stuff for sure, but they just don't make them anymore. They don't make Evos anymore, so it's hard to. When they still make brand new Mustangs, it's hard to really focus on cars that they don't make anymore.
Yeah. So, Jeremy, do you like manufacturing stuff for the domestics? Is it really any different than the import stuff, or is the packaging different, or how you make things or market it? Is it any different?
No, not really. I mean, packaging is it can get tricky in some of these new cars. Just the engine bays are so cluttered with stuff, and we try real hard to keep everything a nice tight install without really modifying the car too much. But I mean, it's basically the same. What I'm running exhaust on or running tubes on.
Yep. So what products were did you guys make that really got you going in the game, like got you recognized, or what did you guys make that sold really well when you first started?
The very first product we ever made was our catch can, our Evo race catch can, which we actually made that the very first one that actually sold and shipped to a customer. Before that, everything I'd made out of my garage, I was making for people that were in my garage.
Yep.
So the very first part I ever made, put in a box and shipped away, was the Evo catch can, and we sold, I don't know the exact number, but tons of those since then. We still sell them.
Yeah, it's still selling catch cans, huh?
Yeah, we actually got that catch can back from our good customer Jason, his Evo. We saw it, I think, probably at the shootout one year, and told him, "Hey, we got
street car takeover."
Oh, that's right. It was street car takeover.
And we want that back.
Yeah, we wanted it back. Yeah, it was bad.
It was so bad. I'm like, no, you're giving me that. I'll give you a new one.
So you upgraded his catch can to a more modern.
I upgraded it, to a current generation one.
And then, so what all products are you guys making now? Really the manufacturing side. I know you're still making a lot of stuff, like fabricating stuff, but on the manufacturing side, what all parts do you guys make?
Yeah, so we have the Evo 8.9 catch cans, we have the battery relocation kits, fuel cells, like a bolt-in fuel cell. We actually make some Subaru parts as well. We do a header and an intercooler kit. And then for the Mustangs, we're working on catch cans for those. We have a lightweight battery catch can combo. It's kind of a really cool product. We just came out with it. Bolts in where the factory battery goes, drops like 15 pounds out of the car, and keeps everything in like a nice little package over there on the side, as well as custom turbo kits for the Mustangs. We've done quite a few of those, and twin turbo kits and single turbo kits, like what we did on my car. But production-wise, that's about where we're at. We're trying to come out with a new product every month. We've done a few boost controller mounts as well for the new S550 chassis Mustangs.
And so what kind of fabrication equipment do you guys have to manufacture those parts?
We have a very small machine shop, so we can do one-off stuff, but anything that we're going to get mass-produced, we outsource to a CNC shop.
Okay, so you're having
them in quantities.
Like water jet or laser cut all your pieces
exactly.
out? Are they bending them, or are you forming them in-house?
I form them in-house.
Okay.
So we'll have a company laser jet me out a bunch of blanks that we designed for a catch can or intercooler or whatever, then I'll fold them up and weld them. And the same with our Subaru headers are all a 321 with a billet collector. So we have the billet collector outsourced somewhere else. And then I have another company, once I made the design, I had another company bend the tubes up. So then I'll trim the tubes down, weld it all together. So it just has a weld at the head flange and a weld at the collector.
Gotcha. And so what's another product that you guys are working on right now that you're really excited about?
Twin turbo Mustangs, man.
Yeah.
Turbo of the world. For sure.
How about like the sources of revenue? Like, you don't have to give me the exact numbers, but kind of the breakdown between the online part sales and the incoming, the services that you work on, and then, any other, like, I would guess I'd call it like wholesale welding or any other like fabrication stuff that you guys are doing for other businesses. What's kind of the breakdown that you guys have there?
Well, we do so if you kind of lump in like tuning, service installs, like any kind of like labor or service based product, and take the parts that we sell and the parts we manufacture, it's almost dead 50-50 between the two. Mm-hmm. As far as other people's parts and our own parts, we're about 25% our parts to 75% other people's parts right now, and looking to grow that into more our own parts. And then we don't do a lot of industrial welding now. It's probably only about 10 to 15% of the business.
Okay, so just kind of a few clients that bring stuff in that you've got good relationships with.
Yes.
So it's kind of phasing that out, and so
it's nothing we go after. We don't go after the industrial work. It just kind of shows up, or the same clients come back and forth.
Yeah, that was Whitfield Fab out in California that we just interviewed. He kind of did the same thing. He's got he welds up bicycles for some company like down the street or something. I was like, well, that's probably a pretty cool deal. Because they're going to bring you a bunch of them at once. They're just, here, get this done. Then you just do it kind of deal. It's a lot easier than trying to predict how many products are going to sell.
Yeah, the industrial welding stuff is a lot simpler and more profitable than the car stuff for sure.
Yeah. Yes. So like when you're making products, what really triggers you guys to decide to make something? Like, how long have you been making the Evo fuel cell, and then what kind of brought that on?
Well, I would say the Evo fuel cell was a request from a local customer. So a local customer that we had already done a turbo kit on and did a cage and stuff in his car. He wanted one. He actually, if I remember right, made something out of cardboard. We kind of worked with him and got a prototype made, and then people seemed interested in it, so we started making them.
So did you do like a group buy for that kind of stuff, or just hoping that people would say, hey, I'll buy one?
That was so long ago, I don't even remember, honestly. We started making them and people started buying them, and then we started making more. We've sold way more than I ever really thought we would, to be honest. So we still sell them.
So how about for like the twin turbo Mustang kit? So that's one that, there's a lot of Mustangs out there, but have you guys just kind of got a feeling for how many people want to put turbos on them?
Yeah, as far as like making products, like we try to find where there's a problem and provide a solution, or if it's a situation where we buy another part but we don't really like the way it's made and we can make it better, or it's something we just can't get or something like that, then that's where we decide to make a product. The Mustang stuff, like the direction that we want to go with that is more of a package car. Like we're not planning on selling turbo kits out just to anybody like on the internet and trying to compete with every other shop that's building turbo kits for every car. We're focusing on a really high quality kit that's built and it's packaged together. So we install it here. Everything's delivered as a finished product.
So it's more of an in-house deal.
Yes. Yeah.
And then like having maybe some certified installers as well, doing that, like putting them in for you.
Yeah, that's definitely in the plans in the future.
So do you, kind of harping back onto the, plan for the business side of things, do you have like a plan for the business, like a 1 year and a 5 year goals for the business?
We do. We have, we write up on a board about every year. We sit down and go over and look at where we thought we would be in a year and where we think we can be in 5 years, and, reevaluate that every year, with, simple goals as far as, what we want to focus on, which platforms we want to focus on, what products we want to make. It's nothing real formal, just, nothing more than a whiteboard with a bunch of notes written on it. Yeah.
Just, something to start thinking about. So when did you guys get the dyno? And was that one of those things one of the goals you were looking forward to?
Yeah, the dyno was when we decided to move into a bigger shop. That was one of the main reasons and goals was we have to have a dyno. No one in the Indianapolis area had an all-wheel drive dyno. So when we moved into this shop, that was our goal. We want an all-wheel drive dyno, be the only all-wheel drive dyno in Indiana, and bring a lot of customers in through that. And it did. We brought a lot of customers in through just having the ability to dyno an all-wheel drive car.
And you told me that you've got somebody else tuning them. Has he been with you guys since you got the dyno?
No, he came on, you can see about 2.5 years ago.
So who was doing? Was there anybody else doing tuning before him?
Yeah, we've used a couple different tuners throughout. Some things didn't work out, and Jeremy also did some tuning as well. And then, we just didn't have time for any of us to focus on it. We were just too busy with other stuff. And Corbin had actually rented the dyno a few times, before we brought him on full time. And he, just being around him and seeing what he could do, we were just really impressed with him. And he was able to, just kind of transition right into being our full-time tuner. And it's been going great for the past 2 years.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that works out good to have somebody there consistently that will tune the cars for you.
Yeah.
Do you are you guys planning on kind of making a room for the dyno? I know it's kind of a hard for the layout purposes, but does that cause any trouble if he's on the dyno all day long and you're, like Jeremy, you're trying to weld on something and you're just got a, 1,000 horsepower Mustang wailing away?
I put my headphones in and shut my hood and start welding. So it's more unfortunate for John and the other service techs. They're closer. We've talked about building a wall there or eventually moving the dyno into another building. Mm-hmm. If we build a bigger building in the back or something, the dyno should have its own dyno cell.
Yeah, that's what Lucas English did with English Racing. He's got a separate barn for his dyno, and it's that's all it is. So they can shut the door and just, it doesn't make too much noise, but it's at least somewhere away from where the techs are working all the time. So the smell and the noise is gone.
Yeah, it's definitely a goal.
So how many hours are you guys, each of you guys working a week?
We're doing right around 60 right now. When we first started, it was unlimited. I think we worked 24/7, but we're down to about 60 right now.
And so are you coming in, is that 6 days a week?
Yeah, we work, our standard hours are 10 to 6 Monday through Friday and 10 to 2 on Saturday.
Okay. Yeah, so you're coming in on the weekends and getting some other stuff done. Do you host Dyno Days and stuff during that time as well on the weekends?
We did not done a dyno day for a little while. We've done a couple of streetcar takeover dyno days that were just out of control. A couple thousand people here. We dynoed, I think the first one we dynoed 55 cars in one day. Yeah. And they were just out of control. They're a lot of fun, but I think we might have burned ourselves out on dyno days for a little while. So
yeah, that's what most people say. I've done a couple dyno days, and you make some pretty good money. It's just your opportunity cost is kind of tough because you're working. It's usually not very fun work, loading and unloading cars all day long on the dyno.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a lot going on. I mean, we definitely enjoy doing them, and we always say we're going to try to have another one in the fall or in the spring, and then just get busy and
just don't have time for it.
Yeah.
Do you think you make any money or get any new customers out of it, or is it just kind of something fun to do for the community?
We definitely did first. I mean, before a lot of people knew who we were, it was a great way to bring attention to the shop and bring in new customers. And now I think it probably not as much. But we would like to do some more dyno days, maybe for different car groups, have those guys come in on the weekends and do a dyno day for, maybe the Mustang guys or all the all-wheel drive cars or something. Mm-hmm. I think there's all-wheel drive Army guys have talked to us about doing some dyno days. We just need to hammer down and get them done.
Yeah, just get a date and do it.
Yep.
So, with the hours that you guys are working there, are you able to kind of pay yourselves? Does the pay justify the amount of time you spent there, or are you still kind of working towards that goal?
I would say we're working towards that goal still. In this industry, if you look at hours spent, I'm not too sure if there's very many people that could say you're making what you would make for the same hourly in a normal job. But what we get to do every day definitely goes into it. Working for yourself, not having to answer to anyone, being able to work with cool cars every day. Every day you come in, it's something new. There's never a dull moment. I see so many people that hate their jobs or hate their daily lives and mm-hmm. Don't want to get out of bed. They might make good money, but we come to work with a smile on our face every day, and I get up early, wake up on my own because I want to get to work. I can't wait to get to work on something, and that's hard to put a price on that.
Very cool. Well, on that, we'll take a second break and then we'll be right back.
We all know owning a shop is difficult, so we created My Shop Assist to help you manage the various jobs. Whether you run a machine shop, a performance tuning shop, build off-road trucks, or even do powder coating, My Shop Assist can help you. It is completely online and will help you schedule the jobs, log time on each task, track parts orders, and take pictures of the work. You can even export your jobs from My Shop Assist into QuickBooks as invoices. So if you're interested to improve operations at your shop, check out myshopassist.com to start your 30-day free trial.
I wanted to kind of ask you guys, since you're making quite a few products, like what's the best method that you guys have found to kind of promote the business in those products specifically?
Well, we do a lot of social media stuff, Instagram, Facebook, website's very important. We also try to go to as many events as we can, get cars out racing with parts on them. Videos, pictures. Been doing a lot of that lately, a lot more high quality pictures, working on high quality videos as well, really getting the information out there in the world so people can see.
You mentioned that you brought on a videographer. So, how do you justify, or actually first, how much time is he spending? Like, is he a full-time employee? And if not, how much time is he spending working on stuff? And then, are you trying to justify how much he spends by, some sort of revenue generation or clicks or views, or what are you guys looking at for that?
Well, like, I don't know if you listen to Gary Vee or know who he is, but I listen to him quite a bit, and a few other people, and do a lot of audio books, trying to, just learn about business as much as I can, to be able to grow our own business. And one thing that Gary always talks about that I like that is that you're a media company first, and then whatever you do is second to being a media company. And the reason he always says that is because nobody knows who you are, what you're doing, unless you're showing it to them. And the only way to show it to them is to put it out there with, pictures, video, content, social media stuff, and luckily in today's day and age, we're in control of all that. We've got the ability to push a video out on YouTube or out on Facebook and put it in front of thousands of people. 10 years ago, you couldn't do that. You had to run a TV ad or something like that. So justifying it off of any kind of metrics, I don't really have an answer for that, other than I'm just a firm believer in putting that content out there will be valuable, whether it's valuable that instant or not. And to answer your question about how much time he's putting in on that, I just hired him as what I would consider like part-time. So he's going to work 3 days a week doing video work, and then our goal is to shoot 3 videos a week, whether it's a simple product demonstration video or a product installation, car on the dyno, racing at the track, anything we can come up with, any kind of content. We're working on creating that stuff to go out on, Facebook, website, YouTube, Instagram, just anywhere we can push it out.
Yeah, content is definitely king for the consumers nowadays. You just got to bombard them with stuff and hope that most of it sticks or some of it sticks. So yeah. Was that person, is he like a formal media guy? No, yeah. So we met him through mutual car friends. He's a younger kid. I think he's 19. And he's into cars and he's into videography, and kind of looked at some of the stuff he'd done and came by the shop. We worked with him on a few videos and just kind of looked at like, what, I actually try to do the videos myself. I think we're all bad about that, just trying to learn everything you possibly can. And you think you can do it all yourself, and it never works out. But as I kind of did it myself, I got a real respect for how much work it is. And then working with him and seeing how quick he could go through and make it happen. And then, just evaluating what time I would spend to do it versus just paying him to do it. And we negotiated a good rate, and here we are. Cool. Yeah, that's a pretty cool one that I've seen several shops. There's another, like a hot rod shop, Do Soul Designs down the street from us. And they've, it's really like a restoration hot rod pro touring kind of shop, but they've got the same kind of guy. It's like a part-time friend of one of their customers or one of their employees that, he's excellent videographer, and he comes in and makes these like fantastic videos. But they've even started sending him on, I compete with them in the Optima Ultimate Streetcar Challenge. So they've been sending that guy to the events as well to do like quick little videos, and they're fantastic. And it's really changed their business because it's getting, like you said, it's advertising to all those people that they previously weren't reaching. So It's hard to put a dollar amount on, but I like to ask people that just to see kind of what your expectations are, because you have to justify it somehow. And it's hard without tangible evidence if it's working or not. But that'll be pretty cool to see, you know, how if he's able to keep making videos and if it helps your business out. So that'll be fun. And then, you know,
it'd be good to look back on.
Yeah, and so who's doing your website? Are you doing it, or did you hire a company or a person to do that?
Well, it's a little bit of a mix of both. I had a guy do the website that's currently up, did all the back end work, get it up and working, and then it's based on WordPress, so it's really simple to modify and change pictures and do blog posts and add products and things like that. So I kind of upkeep it from there. But I'm in the process now of, you know, kind of reevaluating that and seeing what we can do to improve it.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, that's one I like to ask a lot. It's something people struggle with is building their website, and so the days of WordPress are dwindling, and it seems to be everybody's going to the drag and drop like Wix or Shopify or Squarespace for doing their web pages, because it's so much easier just to do it yourself from the beginning and have full control. Because we hate hearing stories of shops getting burned by website developers, and I think that's starting to kind of go away because they don't have as much power as they used to. They don't have as much of a grip on you as they used to. So hopefully that, you know, be curious to know what you guys, you know, decide to do, you know, moving forward.
Yeah. I'm not sure where it's going to go. I've been in meetings this week about it. So we'll see where it ends up.
Very cool. And so what's something else, you know, at the shop or in the business that you guys struggle with, and how do you deal with it? Like, do you have trouble like communicating between the owners or with customers, or like cash flow headaches or anything like that?
I think the biggest thing we struggle with is just time management. It seems like there's always 100 things to do in 10 minutes, you know, to do them in. So it's just, you know, it's just time management for us.
And so we've been, you know, on that note, we've been working with you guys for a while with the My Shop Assist software. Is there anything else that you guys do to kind of, I guess, like schedule out your days or try to be more efficient?
Yeah, well, so the MSA has helped us out a lot. It's great for tracking what's going on, getting things on the calendar, so you can actually sit down and look at, you know, what's coming up, what's being worked on now, how long it's taking, and then reevaluate, you know, how long you're estimating for jobs versus how much you're charging for them. So that's been great. And then also, like I mentioned earlier, talking about our daily meetings, sitting down and figuring out where we're at on jobs, what needs to be done for them, and just, you know, communication between everybody has just been a big key to narrow that down more and get the time management under control. Yeah,
there's never enough hours in the day, so yeah, it's a struggle of like prioritizing the most important things and then just getting them done is always a feat.
Yes, it is.
So what is one of your like 1 year plans for the business that you kind of touched on earlier?
So I'm actually looking at the board right now, and one of the main items we have up there is to say no more, like more often. Tell customers no when it's a job that we should turn away. It's not something that we specialize in. It's not in our wheelhouse. Even if it seems like it'll be a simple, easy job, you know, try to specialize more, try to narrow our focus. You know, we're constantly trying to, you know, get that path narrowed.
Yeah. So, like Jeremy, do you want to work on all kinds of different stuff, or are you like, no, I just want to focus on one thing and go with that?
I mean, I enjoy the custom fab because it lets me be creative. Just welding the same thing all day long is kind of boring, and it just numbs me out. So I enjoy doing the custom turbo kits and stuff just because I can kind of express myself through them. But we, like Ben said, we're so busy we can kind of pick and choose. Like, it doesn't really make sense to turbo this car because I don't want to. That's not a car we're really interested in working on. So we can kind of focus on doing the custom fab on jobs that I want to do, basically.
Yeah, because it's tough with your skill set of like you can build anything, but you shouldn't. Like you shouldn't.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah,
it makes it tough. So what about like 5 years from now? What is your big, hairy, audacious goal?
Yeah, I think 5-year goal, we're looking at, you know, going to a bigger shop again, or maybe just a newer shop. You know, doubling our business. That's something that we're hoping to do in less than 5 years, but definitely up on the board for the big goal. And just, you know, continuing to do what we do and turbo in the world.
So are you looking to grow both the manufacturing side and the service side, or more just like making specialty parts for cars?
Yeah, I think we're trying to focus on growing the manufacturing side more. Service work, and doing jobs and installs and stuff like that, depending on what it is. But a lot of that's hard money to earn. Manufacturing seems to be the place to make good money.
We want to get to the point where we're installing our parts.
Yeah.
Our service techs are busy putting on our turbo kits.
Yeah, and so that's what a lot of the real high end guys, like the Lambo guys or the GTR guys, like they're building their own kits and just putting those on. That seems to be a pretty, because then your quality control is 100% in your hands. It's good to find manufacturers that you can work with, but if you can build a superior product and keep it all in house, that's your most lucrative way to do it.
Yeah, and that's what we're talking about with the package cars, building the twin turbo Mustangs as a package, where everything is under our control.
It allows us to be more efficient. It allows me to fine tune the kit as we install more of them. I can make this easier, and I can make this easier. So make this header tube different, so it's easier to install, or so forth and so on. The more of them we do, the better.
The more you do, the better it gets. The more you do.
Exactly.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, we're going to kind of go through some quick answer questions here. Have you guys seen any game-changing products within the last year, or something maybe you're excited to look at SEMA or PRI coming up?
I think we actually talked about this, trying to come up with what would we say for that, game-changing product. And we both agree that this OEM technology, like the newer platform cars, the transmissions they're coming out with, the engines, direct injection, the kind of power that they hold, you've got cars that are coming out now that can, hold 1,000 horsepower with a stock motor. It's just, crazy what the OEM stuff's doing compared to what it was 10, 15 years ago.
Do you think that's a good thing for the aftermarket guys, or is it, if they make a more reliable product, does it just mean you can push it farther, or is it going to break less?
It just means we can give. I think it's great because we can give a customer a good, reliable car without rebuilding the entire car. We can take a brand new Mustang and put a turbo kit on it, tune it with the factory ECU that allows us to do a lot of features, keep the factory automatic transmission in it, and here's your mid 9-second car. You can drive it across the country, enjoy it. I think it's a great thing.
What other what other software programs are you using daily to run the business? I use QuickBooks every day, that to run Probably
the business
all day, every day.
Yeah, I'm in that all the time. Other than that, just standard, Excel, Word, that kind of stuff, office-wise.
Gotcha. What about a favorite app? Do you guys have anything specifically that you use for the business or personal that, is kind of a little different?
I don't think I have anything that's different. I mean, I use, my favorite app is probably Audible. I listen to ebooks like crazy. I drive about an hour each way to work, and I use Audible all the time.
And I'm the same. If I'm welding, I have an ebook or a podcast going on in my ear for sure.
Very cool.
It's Audible
always
or
trying to learn something.
Oh yeah, 100%.
How about I guess this will be kind of for both of you, but mostly for Jeremy. What about your favorite shop tool? Something cool you guys have out in the shop that you get to use?
I mean, I think they're all cool. It's hard to really say one. I mean, I use my welder every day. Other than my welder, I enjoy machining stuff, teaching myself how to run the lathe and run the mill and stuff, so I enjoy the lathe of playing around with it, but the welder is the one I use every day.
Do you have any CNC equipment, or is that something you guys are going to invest in the future?
We have one small CNC. It's an older one that's kind of like a early conversational machine, so we can do one-off prototyping with it, but we don't really have the structure to do mass production with it. But as far as having a large CNC that we're doing mass production in, I'd rather just farm that stuff out for now.
Yeah, you just don't have enough demand for it to justify bringing it in-house yet.
Exactly.
So what cars, not a race car, are you guys daily driving?
I have a 2002 Toyota Highlander It's got like 250,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
We're currently doing a JDM motor swap on it. Blew the motor up a couple weeks ago, so we're JDM motor swapping, and then we're going to dyno it. So if anybody's interested in how much power that thing's going to make, all 110 horsepower of it, you can check out our Facebook page for that probably in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And then I just bought a 16 Mustang as well that we're going to use for product development.
Okay. Do you still have a 2012 one?
Yeah, it's an 11. Yeah, that's kind of like a shop race car.
That's the test mule now.
Yeah.
What about you, Jeremy? You got anything really cool driving daily?
Yeah, man, I actually daily drive a 2006 Corvette Z06.
Oh, nice.
Has cam car headers and stuff, makes like 580 wheel on pump gas.
So what do you do in the wintertime when it's like snowing?
Well, I
guess
work.
you live at work, so you don't have to worry. You just don't leave,
Yeah.
huh?
I mean, I drove the Corvette all winter last year for sure.
Does
a lot of locals kind of gave me some crap for it when they see me out. Like, what are you doing out driving this car, man?
do you put like
it does pretty well.
Yeah, do you put like skinnier tires in the back with all seasons on it, or just keep the stock stuff on there?
No, I just keep stock stuff on it. I mean, if it's snowing bad, I won't take it. Like we also have a company truck, so I might take the truck. But if it's snowing bad in the winter, I mean, the only place I'm really leaving the shop for is just to go to the gym. So I just hop in the truck and drive to the gym and back.
Gotcha. How about John? Does he have something real cool as well?
No, he's got like 20 Omni projects at his house that he'll probably never finish.
It's a graveyard, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Very cool. Well, what's kind of like the future of automotive performance that you guys see coming in the future?
So I think that everybody seems to always answer it as like, electric cars. And I do agree that that's probably where it's going to go. But since everybody always says that, I'm just going to go with, we're going to see more and more turbos on cars. Like there's more and more OEM stuff coming out with turbochargers. It's a good intermediate thing between electric and gasoline engines to make them more efficient, but still make power, better gas mileage. So I just think we're going to see more and more turbochargers until the electric stuff really takes off.
Yeah, Ford has definitely taken that seriously. And the weird thing about it is like they do get better gas mileage until you touch the throttle. Like that's kind of always the thing is like, yeah, they'll get great gas mileage if there's like no headwind and you're not pulling a trailer in your truck. It gets pretty good gas mileage. But like the second you get on throttle, it plummets. And, they're going to get away with it because that's how the standards are set. They're getting good gas mileage on the testing. But yeah, the turbo stuff is always interesting to me because I love the technology. You get more out of a little bitty package, but man, it's hard to beat, like an LS or even some of the Dodge engines where they cut cylinders out of a big V8 and get really good gas mileage that way as well. I'm like, that kind of works just as good. So it'll be interesting to see what manufacturers are able to do with, varying compression and, they already have the variable turbos and all that's been out for a long time. So just as we get more and more technologically advanced see what they can do with the turbos to maybe keep pushing that envelope. To close out here, how do our listeners, find out more about your company and get in contact with you guys?
You can check us out on our website is fathousefab.com. Facebook page is Facebook/Fathouse Fab. Same on Instagram. And then we also have a YouTube channel, Fathouse Fabrications.
Well, again, I really want to thank you guys for taking some time and talking with us. It was cool to hear your story and, look forward to seeing more products out of you guys, more cool fab stuff, and hope PRI goes really well for you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for listening to Do It for a Living. You can find out more about this guest, this show, and even details about what we just talked about at our website. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/doitforaliving and tell us who you want to hear from. And most importantly, subscribe to the podcast. Click subscribe. Do it now. Seriously. I'll wait while you grab your phone. Open up the podcast app. Tap the subscribe button. When you subscribe,